This is a common failure on the second generation Silverado. So today we'll be replacing the handle on this 2012 truck. Our first step would be to remove the lock pull. You can use a small flathead screwdriver to pull the center piece out to unclamp the pull and lift it off. Now we can pop the cover off from behind the pull handle and move on to the cover behind the release handle on the door. Next is the trim on the vertical handle. You start by prying up at the bottom and the rest will come free. Use a 10mm socket to remove the bolts from the vertical handle. There's two of them, one at the top, one at the bottom. After removing the vertical handle, you can use the same 10mm socket to remove the bolt behind the release handle. Next, use a trim tool to remove the panel at the top of the door. You can use that same tool to pop up the controls for the windows and locks. This plug here has a squeeze to release, so it's pretty easy to remove. This you do have to pry up. I use the tool to pry up on that tab so I can get the plug off. I use a pair of needle nose pliers to pop out the anchor for the wiring so I don't pull the wires when I remove that door panel. Use your 10mm socket to remove these two bolts right here at the armrest or door handle. It's time to pop the panel free from the door. You may need to use a trim pry tool to leverage behind the panel, but once you get it pulled back, you can lift it off the door. I usually rest it on the stool as I continue to work. Next, we need to disconnect the cable for the handle. I grab a pair of needle nose so I can grab the cable and kind of pull it through its channel, pull it over like this so I can lift that ball out. You need to squeeze these two tabs so you can push the cable out of this bracket and completely remove the door panel. Now we can pull back the vapor barrier so we can access the inside of the door. I removed these two plugs so I could better see and access one of the bolts holding the handle on. These are the locations of the two bolts holding the handle on. You'll want to remove the left one through the oval hole, as shown here, and then the right one that is actually through the hole, the bottom hole where we pulled the plugs out. Now you can pop the door handle off the door. It may stay connected. Mine was really broken, so this part broke off the door handle. You'll likely have to manipulate your whole door handle to release that rod. Then you connect your new door handle by sliding it onto the rod, locking it in, push that hardware in the door. Then the door handle will slide slightly to the outside direction of the door and lock into place. You may have to move the door handle just a little bit to line up the holes, but reinstall your two bolts, fastening the handle to the door. After you tighten down those bolts holding the handle on, it's time to put the vapor barrier back, push your wiring through, make sure you can use the same glue that held it on originally. Don't forget to put your cable through, and pop those plugs back in. There are some hooks at the bottom of the door panel to help support the panel while you work on it. I rest it on top of the stool, but you want to get it close enough to snap that cable back in to the bracket, and then I use those needle nose pliers again to wrestle that cable and that ball back into place. Now's a good time to snap in the fastener for the wiring harness there and then pull the plugs through so we can connect them to our window and door controls. At the same time, you want to hang the door panel at the top of the door. Before you can snap the door panel on the door, you need to make sure none of the fasteners popped off the door panel and stayed in the door. If they did, pull them out of the door, reattach them to the panel so you can snap the panel firmly on the door. Reinstall the two bolts under the armrest and the one bolt that's under the door handle. Next, you want to get the door lock and window controls and plug those back in, and then snap the controls back into place on the door panel. Now you can reinstall the vertical handle and secure it with the two bolts. And once you tighten those down, you can install the trim piece. Slide that lock pull over the threaded rod and press that center part to clamp it into place. When installing this piece of trim, just line up this dowel with this hole. Just line it up and push it firmly into place. Snap on the triangular piece that's at the top of the door panel and the piece that's under the armrest. There's 4 slots and 4 fasteners on that piece. Just slide it under the armrest and snap it into place. And that wraps up replacing the door handle. Please consider liking and subscribing.